Yes, movement organizations are, as time evolves, 2023, 2024, becoming definitely more and more effective. Definitely more and more effective as time goes on. Yeah, we went through a dearth, the capture of BLA and Panthers and other movement members into society. We went through the crack epidemic of the 80s. I guess that's what it was. I was in prison. And all this and the demise of our culture and just the stalemate of movement organizations. But now everybody sitting here knows that we're on the rise. We're getting stronger. You know that yourself. You know, there's just a situation in Palestine is making us stronger. It's bringing us together. Now, so the answer to that basically is yes. Now, should we rely on the state apparatus? The process of divorcing ourselves from the nipple of the state is a process. Right now, many of us organizations do rely on that, including nonprofit. We had a tribunal in 2021. Moving for Black Lives gave us $100,000 with no strings attached. Did you give us any money for that? Did we have a successful tribunal charge the United States government guilty of the genocide, black, brown, and indigenous people? Was there a problem? I was asked last night at a program or the night before, should we involve ourselves in the nonprofit complex and they this and that? I said the best way to answer that question, to say no we shouldn't, is to make sure that we, us, you, are involving in building an infrastructure that will allow us to separate. Otherwise than that, you ain't gonna have money to do anything. I know I won't. I travel around the world. You ain't paying that.
10 seconds.
You ain't paying that for me to go to these conferences, to build this network, to build this infrastructure, to really develop Pan-Africanism. So the process to eliminate the blah, 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 blah.
All right, get him, Jalil, get him.
If I understand the question correctly,
I knew you was going to cut the
then it's imperative
nonprofit.
that we have some understanding about what Jihad just said. The necessity to build apparatuses that will remove us from the tit of the nonprofits. Okay. That's what he said.
I said me.
Right? Is that what he said?
Yes.
Okay, his participation, is that what he
Yes,
said?
sir.
Okay, so let's get some understanding here then. Okay. All right. So for me, it is extremely important that we understand that there's no one organization or status in organization that we should not find the means to incorporate in our struggle. All right? And the process of we're building new apparatuses of independence. All right? That's the goal and objective. We have to find our friends where they are, right? We have to find those who are not our friends and turn them to our friends, right? And those who are enemy, we need to expose them. Ensure that they do not continue to do harm in our community. That's what's important. So for me, it's applying every tactic that we have in our strategy book or in our strategy bag, right? We cannot afford to not use every tactic that we have. We cannot afford to not use the nonprofits, right? As he worked for a nonprofit, I work for a nonprofit. So what are we talking about here? We know what the deal is. All right? So for us, it is a stepping stone. Right? And if we miss that, what happens? You fall.
10 seconds.
And we don't want to fall. All right? Our babies are important to us. I talked about the milk program, but I didn't talk about the gate money program. It's a nonprofit. Right? So for us, it's not a question of dividing. It's a question of where do we find our unity.
Time.
Okay, so that was the first round. Again, I think Brother Jalil forgot he's in a negative, but that's okay. Round two is the rebuttal and counter arguments. Again, Brother Jihad is taking the affirmative, Brother Jalil is taking the negative.
Can you reread the question?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes.
Redo the question. And what about the conflict?
The question was, if I may, Sister Tom, are movement organizations effective in achieving their goals?
Right.
And then contextually, should we rely on state apparatus, I guess, in the process of achieving our goals? And I'm reaffirming my first statement that yes, we should. And as movement organizations, I think we are. Some more so than others, but I think incrementally so. We are all getting stronger, more conscious. We're getting more hope. And like I used the example of what's happening in Palestine to really generate, organize, and help us to organize and galvanize and add hope and energy to what we're doing. I was in prison with a brother, Nidal Ayad. He's a Palestinian brother, and he used to always tell me that it's not bad enough here in the United States for really to make us give a damn. But I think we are seeing what bad begins to look like, slowly. But we're seeing what bad, we're seeing, if you people didn't understand what imperialism was last year, they better understand it now. If people didn't understand what colonization was, they're better understanding it now. If people didn't understand what the role of the United States government was in exploiting colonialism and imperialism around the world, they better understand it now by watching the gross and egregious and reprehensible genocide of Palestinian people in Gaza on TV. We're watching it live, and we see more and more as the demonstrations prove, you know, the nature and connection with the United States government. So in that regard, everybody in this audience can answer this question in support of my position. Is your organization growing toward its mission statement? And you know what the mission statement is. Is your organization growing toward their mission statement? Not this worldwide mission statement, your organizational mission statement. I would like to think that everybody in this organization, in this audience here would say that just my organization may be slowly moving toward their goals like that. We may be using some nonprofit money, we may be doing that, but we would like to say that we understand that in order to divorce ourselves away from using any state apparatus, it depends on how much we continue to grow as an organization, that we just can't cut that off abruptly.
Let me state, the question in itself is rather convoluted, right? And so I'm going to address the question itself. Okay. And the question states this: are movement organizations effective in achieving their goals? I don't know. Are we? What is the goal? Has that been defined? So achieving the goal, what is the goal? First of all, we got to define what the goal is. Okay? And therefore we find the methodology or the means from which we can achieve that goal. Are the organizations effective in doing that? Right? Am I saying no? Because we have not established national unity. We have not engaged in class struggle for national unity, the first phase of the three-phase theory. Right? And that's extremely important, because then we'll be able to define the goal and have consensus, have unity towards that end. We're not there yet. We got to get there. We ain't there yet. Okay, so that's the process. So the second part of this question was relying more on state apparatus and nonprofits, or focus on movement organizations as grassroots initiatives. Why not? If they're providing the resource that we're not having, or we're not having the organizational national unity or consensus as an organization, know what our goal is, we got to feed these babies. We got to house these children, right? We got to use what resources are available to us in order to make that happen, right? That's what we have to do. And so for me, it's extremely imperative or important that we do two things, right? Identify the goal, develop unity towards that goal, and a strategic capacity to achieve that goal. And at this point in time, we're not there yet. We have work to do. We are our own liberators.
That was a cheat code.
So we heard now the opening arguments of sorts, rebuttals and counter arguments, and now we're going to hear closing arguments. Again, just to repeat it, Brother Jihad is in the affirmative, Brother Jalil is in the negative. And this is, are movement organizations effective in achieving their goals? Should we rely more on state apparatus and nonprofits?